What if AJ Allmendinger never lost his ride at Team Penske? I had a lot of fun working on my last video, exploring what would happen if Carl Edwards stayed for just one more year. So I thought I'd explore another what if that would change the course of NASCAR history. What if AJ Allmendinger didn't lose his ride at Team Penske in 2012? I actually think what makes this question so interesting isn't what happens to AJ Allmendinger, it's what happens to Joey Logano. In 2012, Joey Logano was being pushed out of the number 20 car at Joe Gibbs Racing. The issue was sponsorship. The car's primary sponsor was the Home Depot, and not only had Logano failed to live up to the hype surrounding him upon his arrival in the Cup Series, he also didn't exactly fit the Home Depot brand image. When you think about the Home Depot, do you think of a skinny 21-year-old who's maybe a little socially awkward and is still searching for his place in the world and is probably playing video games in his college dorm room? Or do you think about the guy in his early 40s, married, has a couple of kids, and is probably doing home improvement projects on the weekends? That second guy is Matt Kenseth. Let's face it, Matt Kenseth fit the Home Depot brand way better than Joey Logano did. And if he was available, then it made sense for JGR to go get him. So what options would there have been for Joey Logano if the 22 car was off the table? There was some talk that JGR was trying to put together a fourth car for Logano, but that didn't work out, and the fourth car at JGR wouldn't arrive until 2015. If he stayed in the Cup Series, there weren't a whole lot of options. There was talk that Penske wanted to have a third full-time car in 2013 for Sam Hornish, if sponsorship could be found. Ultimately, that didn't happen, and Penske didn't have a third full-time car until 2018. Logano's career would have played out the same way there, but he'd just be driving the 12 car instead of the 22. And there may have been implications for Ryan Blaney later on down the road. I think Logano may have had a little bit more luck drawing in sponsorship than Hornish by virtue of the fact that he'd won a couple of races at the Cup level, but I don't think he would have ultimately been able to get enough sponsorship to make it happen. One suggestion was that RCR could look to field a fourth team. In much the same way as Gibbs and Penske, I don't think Logano was going to be able to put together enough sponsorship for a major team to expand its operation, and I don't think that would have worked out either. So, if he wanted to stay in the Cup Series, that leaves small teams. Some of these are interesting and some aren't. First, I'm going to lump a few teams together because I think the outcome would have been the same for all of these teams. BK Racing, Tommy Baldwin Racing, and Swan Racing. I think that these would have been dead-end rides where his career would have burnt out, particularly with Swan Racing, a team that folded just 8 races into the 2014 season. He might have been able to make something out of his career running around the back of the field at BK Racing or Tommy Baldwin Racing for a year or two. Alex Bowman did run full seasons with BK Racing and Tommy Baldwin Racing in 2014 and 2015 respectively, so maybe there's a chance, but it would have been an uphill battle. There's also Fastlane Racing and Circle Sport, 2 teams that would later merge to form Go Fast Racing, and again, it would have been an uphill battle there, and I don't think that he ever would have achieved the heights that we've seen out of him today. There are 2 smaller teams that would have made for interesting fits, though. Front Row Motorsports and Phoenix Racing. Front Row had a 3-car team at the time, and I could easily see Logano running the 35 car alongside David Reagan and David Gilliland, and Front Row has always seemed to have a good enough relationship with other Ford teams that I think he could have turned that into a ride with Roush or the Wood brothers, if he performed well for a couple of years. The other interesting option would have been Phoenix Racing. In 2012 and 2013, Phoenix Racing was basically where drivers went for rehab. Kurt Busch drove for the team in 2012 after his falling out with Team Penske, and used that to land a ride at Furniture Row and eventually Stewart-Haas Racing. In 2013, AJ Allmendinger ran 9 races with the team and turned that into a deal with JTG Doherty Racing. Sponsorship both was and wasn't an issue with this team, and by that I mean they would sign drivers without sponsorship, but that would eventually lead to the team being sold mid-season in 2013 to Harry Scott, who would bring in Justin Allgaier, who had sponsorship from Brandt, for the 2014 season. If Logano went to Phoenix Racing, he would have to make an impression quickly, and I think he would. I think he would have made a good enough impression to land the 47 car at JTG Doherty in 2014, just like AJ Allmendinger did. In which case, Logano's career would have played out much like AJ Allmendinger's career, maybe slightly better, at least for the next few seasons. Now, those are the Cup Series options that would be available for Logano, but I really believe that the best option for Logano would have been to do what Cole Custer is doing now. Take a step back and go to the Xfinity Series for a year or two. Logano had been running a part-time schedule in the Xfinity Series for JGR in 2012, and in 22 races he picked up 9 wins and 17 top 10s. Oh yeah, and he definitely fit the image of his sponsor in that series. Remember how I said skinny 21-year-old who looked like he might be a little socially awkward and was probably playing video games in his college dorm room? Yeah, that fit the GameStop image. Gibbs would have a 4th full-time car for Carl Edwards in 2015, but if Logano had performed well enough in the Xfinity Series in 2013, maybe they could have found funding to start that 4th team a year earlier with Logano in 2014, and Logano could have gone on to have a successful career at JGR. Ultimately, I don't think Logano would ever have been as successful at JGR as he has been at Penske. Some drivers just click with certain teams in ways that they wouldn't with other teams. I think that Logano and Penske are an example of this, and it was a match that was simply meant to be. But what about AJ Allmendinger in all of this? I genuinely believe that AJ Allmendinger would have won races and been competitive at Team Penske for a long time. Yes, overall, his numbers while he was at Penske were not very impressive, with just 1 top 5 and 3 top 10s in 18 races. However, that 1 top 5 was a 2nd place finish at Martinsville, and he had scored a pair of 9th place finishes at Sonoma and Kentucky in the 2 races leading up to his suspension. So he seemed to be building some momentum going into the second half of the season. Obviously, he wasn't going to make the chase after that kind of first half, but a strong second half would set him up nicely in terms of both confidence and momentum going into 2013. I don't necessarily think he would be winning championships like Logano did, but I do think 1 to 3 wins per season would have been fairly typical for Allmendinger at Penske. But who knows? If he were still at Penske today, then the increased number of road courses on the schedule may make a championship more attainable. In fact, I don't think that you should sleep on AJ Allmendinger with Kaulig in 2023. I think it's easy to forget that Allmendinger is good at more than just road courses. In 2022, he ran 12 Cup Series races on oval tracks for Kaulig and scored 4 top 10s, including a 3rd place finish at Homestead. I definitely have AJ Allmendinger as a driver to watch this year, and bold prediction, I think AJ makes the round of 8 in the playoffs. So that's what I've got for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It's just 1 click, and it helps out the channel a lot. Of course, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and have a great day.